See you later. Bye, Sally.
Hello and welcome
You
to
too.
our beginner's workshop here at the Vapor Depot. My name is Charity Luthi, and you may know me from the Vapor Depot's online social marketing. I do the videos, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all those things. You might know me from there. When I started working for the Vapor Depot, I've been smoking for 20 years. And over that period of time, I figured out I had spent enough money buying cigarettes that I could have bought a house. And that's what really convinced me to switch to vaping. Now, some people want to know, what is vaping? It's kind of a new word. It just got added to the Oxford English Dictionary as the word of the year for 2014. The basic definition of vaping is to electronically heat e-liquid into a vapor form so it can be inhaled. It's designed to deliver that vapor and the nicotine in a toxin-free form. We use a battery to heat up a coil, which turns the e-liquid into a vapor, and then we can get our nicotine that way. And it's similar to the fog you might see at a rock concert. It's basically the same ingredients. The only difference is that in e-liquid it has nicotine in it and food flavorings. Well, what is nicotine? There's a lot of misconception about what nicotine is. People say, will nicotine kill you? Is it dangerous? Well, nicotine is a naturally occurring chemical compound that we find in plants, not just tobacco. A small baking potato has about 1 milligram of nicotine in it. And there's nicotine all around us, especially when we're around smokers. If you were to sit as a non-smoker next to a smoker on a bus, you would absorb about 1 milligram of nicotine just sitting next to that person. Non-smokers, 30 to 60 milligrams of nicotine could be dangerous. In a heavy smoker, they could get maybe up to 120 milligrams of nicotine and still be okay. But everybody's different, and that's why there's so many different variations on the nicotine levels in the e-liquid, is so that you can find what's right for you. As you want to step down or you want to get away from cigarettes, you can find out what is the best nicotine level for you. So is vaping the same as smoking? No, it is not. Vaping delivers nicotine and we inhale it. And that's basically the only similarities that vaping has with smoking, is you get nicotine and you inhale it. Cigarettes, unlike e-cigs, contain over 4,000 chemicals and chemical compounds, including battery acid and toluene and formaldehyde, that you're not going to find in e-cigs. E-cigs have no tar, no ashes, no smell, no butts. There's no residue left on your walls or windows. You don't need a lighter. There's no risk of fire. And studies of e-cig vapor shows a level of chemicals. It can be detected but not measured. And what that means is that they know that there's a little bit of something in e-liquid vapor, but we don't know how much. It's just so small. There's just not enough to measure it, how much there is. We do know it's a lot less than cigarettes. So lately, there's been a lot of fear media out there about e-cig studies. The most recent one was a formaldehyde study, where a researcher claimed to have found alarming levels of formaldehyde in e-cig vapor. But the truth of the matter is that the study wasn't done correctly, and most peer-reviewed scientists who've looked at the data say it wasn't done correctly. He only studied one type of e-cig, and he turned it up to the highest levels. Only at the highest levels was he able to find formaldehyde. And he didn't keep putting e-liquid into the e-cig as he did it. So basically what he was testing was, is there formaldehyde in a burning cotton wick? Because that's what he did. And of course there's formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is all around us. Most of these studies that we see are funded by big pharmaceutical companies who put out nicotine patches, nicotine gums, and pills for smoking cessation. They're losing money to e-cigs. And big tobacco puts out these because they're losing money to people quitting smoking, using e-cigs. Most of these studies don't adhere to a strict scientific method. They don't test a wide variety of e-cigs brands. They don't test a wide variety of e-liquids. So you end up with a study that says all e-cigs contain this, but they didn't test. They tested 1 or 2, maybe 10. And they don't report the findings that don't fall into what they want to prove. Let's see, where are we here? Other studies show the levels of particulate in e-cigs are less than 1% of what there are in cigarettes. So if, even in a worst case scenario with e-cigs, we know that they're thousands of times better than smoking cigarettes. So are the batteries safe? That's another question that people have. Are the batteries safe? Well, absolutely. When they're used correctly according to the package directions and the store that sells you them, and they're used with their proper chargers, they're absolutely safe. There have been a few cases of fires and battery leakages with e-cig batteries, but in every single one of those cases, and there's been 16 over 4 years that have been reported, in every single one of those cases either the battery was modified or they weren't using a proper charger. So when you use them properly, yes, the batteries are totally safe. Are the e-liquids safe? Yeah, the e-liquids are safe. We know our e-liquids that we sell here at the Vapor Depot are totally safe. People ask, well, what does e-liquid contain? What's in them? That's the big question the FDA has, is what's in it? We don't know. We want studies that show what's in it. Well, here's what's in it. 5 FDA and EU approved ingredients. Propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, food flavorings, medical grade liquid nicotine, which is optional because most e-liquids come without any nicotine added, and distilled or purified water. So what is propylene glycol? There's a lot of misinformation out there about what is propylene glycol. People say, oh, that's antifreeze. No, it's not antifreeze. It's generally recognized as safe by the FDA, and it's used in thousands of products people use every single day. This is a short list of some of the things you're going to find propylene glycol in. Children's Tylenol, water flavorings, chewy cookies, asthma inhalers, chewing gum, cough syrup, pharmaceuticals, cake mixes, Pop-Tarts, beer, ice cream, whiskey, salad dressings, waffles, Tabasco sauce. There's thousands more. I mean, I was going to bring in some props and I literally wouldn't have had to go shopping to find most of these products in our house. They have propylene glycol in it. We're exposed to it every day. So they say, is it antifreeze? No, it's not antifreeze. It is sometimes used in antifreeze to make it less toxic in case there's a spill. Animals won't die if they lap it up. Makes it safer. So even propylene glycol is even used in hospital ventilation systems because it's a bit of a dehydrant. So it keeps down the levels of infections due to moisture in the air. So the bottom line about propylene glycol is it's not going to hurt you. Vegetable glycerin. Vegetable glycerin is a common food additive. It is colorless, odorless, and it's sweet. It's made from palm oil, coconut oil, or soy. And it's used in thousands of food and cosmetic products, including toothpaste, lipstick, cake mixes, frostings, herbal remedies, and many more. I saw that they were in Pop-Tarts, too, when I was looking at the ingredient label this morning. Food flavorings, they're a lot like the ones that you'll find in the baking aisle. They're a little bit more potent before they're diluted into the e-liquid. But they're used in the manufacture of thousands of other food products that you buy every single day, including candies, chewing gum, water flavorings, all kinds of things. So it's safe. Liquid nicotine. It is not necessarily tobacco. It is extracted from nicotine-rich plants, including potato plants and tomato plants, in a lab. And the lab extracts the nicotine and sends it bottled to manufacturers. It's medical grade. The e-liquid manufacturers then dilute it into the various milligrams for retail sale, and they're shipped to the stores like the Vapor Depot. Most e-liquids are available with no nicotine added. So the bottom line is, there's no proven risks from using e-cigs, and they're thousands of times better than smoking at the very least. If you follow all of the directions, keep your e-liquid up away from kids and pets, make sure it's screwed down tight, and always use the charger that comes with your e-cig. It's totally safe. You have nothing to worry about. They're ideal for reducing the harm from cigarette smoking. So smokers who want to step away from the combustible tobacco products, the smell, where you can't breathe, the tar, you want to get away from that, e-cigs are ideal. And I am testimony to that because I can tell you what, I feel a bazillion times better than I did when I was a smoker. Can e-cigs help me quit smoking? We're not allowed to tell you that they are a smoking cessation device. Since 2009, when the World Health Organization and the FDA got together, they said that we can't tell you it's a smoking cessation device, because, or a drug, they call it a drug delivery device. But the truth of the matter is that millions of smokers worldwide have used e-cigs to get away from combustible tobacco products. 68% of all cigarette smokers want to quit, but only 52% have tried and then failed. 6% of all tobacco smokers quit using patches, gums, pills, or cold turkey methods. Only 1 in 10 smokers who want to quit actually do using traditional quit smoking methods. But 96% of smokers who switch to e-cigs quit smoking. We can't tell you that that's what it's for, but a lot of smokers do use it for that. So how does it work? Vaping works, you take your battery right here and attach it to a tank, and long thread. Attach it to the tank like this. It's a container of e-liquid that contains a coil, and then you push the button and it works. It's basically all that there is to making vaping work. Where a lot of smokers start is with the convenience of the cig-alike brands. They're the most basic type of e-cig, and they contain a absorbent of some sort, like a cotton or a foam that holds all of the e-liquid in it. By the time that the e-cig, the cig-alike brands reach the store, a lot of the e-cig liquid has evaporated. They're convenient though, so a lot of smokers start with them, not because they're a good place to start, but because they are convenient. They're available in big box stores and convenience stores. And they're technically disposable. As the cartridges wear out, you take them off, throw them away, and put on a new one. But they don't really last very long. The batteries don't last very long. So we've tried out a lot of them here. We just don't find that they're worth selling. We feel that these personal vaporizers are a lot better choice for our customers. But how it works is a microprocessor here senses when the user takes a drag, which activates the battery to activate the coil, which heats up the e-liquid, which gives you vapor. And that's the basic principle of how these work. Personal vaporizers, as you can see, don't look like cigarettes. They have more powerful batteries. They use tanks to hold the liquid so you can see how much you have. The user just presses a button to activate the battery. They're reusable, many are refillable. They come in lots of colors and styles to suit your personality. So what do you need? Like I said, a battery, a tank or an atomizer, vapor juice, and a charger. And there's a lot of options. If you don't like the way this thing looks, a lot of these you can swap out the drip tips, you can get a different colored battery. So the batteries, the most basic models just have a button that you activate. The slightly more advanced models, like this one, have variable voltage, a little dial on the end, and you turn it, you can get a more personalized vaping experience. Even more advanced models, using the button and the dial, allow you to adjust the voltage and the wattage. And the most advanced models have screens where you can adjust them, that you can connect into your computer and get total usage data for what you use it, how many puffs you take, how many milligrams of nicotine you've had, etc., etc. And then it poops it all out in little tables and graphs for you. So tanks and clearomisers. So the most basic type of cartomizers like are used in the cig-alike brands. The next most advanced types are clearomisers, which are little tanks that have wicks that wick it up to the top for the user where the coil is at the top and then you vaporize it. The next most advanced type is like this one. It's a bottom coil atomizer where the heating happens at the bottom and then is brought up through a tube to the user. These tanks have the fewest wicking issues, the fewest flooding issues. You're going to find that they're probably the best bet if you're serious about taking a vaping. You just simply replace the coil when they wear out. And you have almost no waste. You can throw away the coil and it's just a tiny little piece of metal in your garbage. You don't have hundreds of cigarette butts in your trash anymore, or packages, or cellophane. So we're going to go over a brief history of vaping for those of you who are interested. The electronic cigarette was first developed in China in 2006 by an inventor and pharmacist named Han Lick, who invents the e-cig after his father died of lung cancer, who was a heavy smoker, and Mr. Lick himself was a heavy smoker. He worked for a company called Golden Dragon Holdings, and when he brought them his designs for the e-cig, they stopped manufacturing anything else and focused on these. They changed their company name to Runyon, which in Chinese means like smoke. So in late 2006, e-cigs became available in Europe and the United States. In 2008, the World Health Organization declared that e-cigs cannot be called smoking cessation devices. In late 2008, the first e-cig study is conducted, finds nearly no carcinogens, about the same level as patches and gums. But in March 2009, the FDA blocks e-cig imports at U.S. ports, and basically they just said, you can't bring this stuff in here. The two biggest e-cig importers at the time, Eversmoke and Enjoy, sued the FDA. And in April 2009, they filed that injunction saying the FDA didn't have authority over their products. In May 2009, Enjoy the lawsuit with Eversmoke. In June 2009, President Obama granted the FDA jurisdiction over e-cigs by including them in the Tobacco Control Act. And he specifically included them too. In July 2009, an independent examination of the FDA study, now the FDA did do a study, and they said they found particulates and toxins in it, but an independent examination of that study found glaring flaws and oversight, and they didn't adhere to scientific method. In August of 2009, the American Council of Science and Health called the FDA study distorted, incomplete, and misleading, and meant to scare Americans and keep Americans smoking combustible tobacco products. By October of 2009, e-cig users had started to band together and CASA.org was created, the Consumer Advocates for Smoke-Free Alternatives. In December 2009, New Jersey included e-cigs in their smoking bans. That same month, Enjoy stopped selling their flavored e-cig products in the United States. In January of 2010, an injunction against the FDA is granted. A federal judge says, no, you can't stop these imports. 2 months later, another judge said, oh, yes, they can. By the end of the year, an appeals court determined that the FDA couldn't stop the imports and could only regulate e-cigs as tobacco products. In February 2011, the American Journal of Preventative Medicine published a study showing that e-cigs help smokers quit more effectively than traditional stop smoking devices. In April 2011, the FDA announced it would regulate e-cigs as tobacco products. E-cigs that were marketed as stop smoking devices would be more vigorously regulated as drug delivery devices. In August of 2011, a study was published in the academic journal Addiction showed that e-cigs are helping smokers to quit and stay quit. In October 2011, the British Cabinet Office Behavioural Insights team strongly endorsed e-cigs as a quit smoking aid. In October, the same month, the first clinical trial of e-cigs showed that they are more effective than patches, gums, or pills for smoking cessation. That's a typo. November 2011, CASA eventually keeps e-cigs from being banned in Alameda County, California. In February 2012, the CASA successfully prevented Hawaii from enacting excessive e-cig taxes. March 2012 was the first World Vaping Day. April 2012. And then, see, right around this time, big tobacco companies started to get on the e-cig bandwagon. They started to see how they were going to be competition and figured that they better get in on it while the getting was good. So Lorillard, the third largest tobacco company, bought blue e-cigs in April 2012. Later that same year, R.J. Reynolds, the second largest tobacco company in the United States, bought Vuse e-cigs. In February 2013, the CDC released a study showing increased awareness and use of electronic cigarettes. By March 2013, former U.S. Surgeon General Richard Carmona joins the board of Enjoy. By the end of 2013, the largest tobacco manufacturer in the United States, the Altria Group, which is Philip Morris, bought Mark 10 e-cigs. They launched it right away, and it was a total flop. They were the cig-alike brands, and while they're still around, people just don't buy them. April 2014, the FDA released proposed regulations for electronic cigarettes. Now, what these regulations would entail is a lot bigger than these bullet points, but I'll just try to cover it real briefly. They would require manufacturers to register with the FDA, so you have to become an FDA-approved manufacturer. They would require each product to be approved by the FDA, but the language in the proposal doesn't specify whether like products will be grouped together. So they won't tell you if all e-liquids can be under one approval. They won't tell you if all push-button battery types can be together in one application. It doesn't say. So the process of getting product approval could cost hundreds of thousands up to billions of dollars and thousands of man-hours. The FDA estimates each application would take 5,000 man-hours and $100,000 to complete. The FDA has only approved one product in the past year. It was a pharmaceutical product, a pill of some sort. The regulations would prohibit internet sales of e-liquid and limit flavors to tobacco and menthol, and would prohibit sales to minors, which we are behind. We are totally 100% behind age verification for sales to minors. Any sensible person would agree keeping tobacco products out of the hands of minors is a good thing. That is the end of our presentation for our beginner's workshop. I think I hauled butt through that.